Welcome back after the international break as we hit the final stretch of the season with just 8 games remaining, starting with a trip to relegation-threatened Stoke City. Some may say QPR will be relegation-threatened too if we lose this match, but we'll get onto that shortly. But at least for QPR, we stopped the overall rot before the international break, ending the run of 4 consecutive league defeats by drawing 2-2 with leaders Leeds. Was it a good point for you, Dave, or after being 2-0 up and only drawing, were you disappointed?
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's a good point. I don't think we expected to get much out of that game, did we? But we played really well again. We seem to save our best performances for Leeds at home, didn't we? To be two up the way we were, I think we kind of needed to get to half time still at 2-0. I think we could have gone on and won it, but they scored their goals at the worst times for us, really, up just before half time and just after. And in the end, I think with about 20 minutes left, when they were bringing more and more forwards on, and we're like, we'll take a point now. And we almost won it in the end, but a draw was probably about right, and it stopped the losing run, so that was a good thing. We need to put an end to that. But the performance was really encouraging after a couple of pretty dire ones before that.
Yeah, for me, I was just happy to get a result to stop that losing streak. We've all felt a lot better in these last 2 weeks. It's actually been pretty quiet around the club, and I don't think it would have been that way if we'd lost the game, especially after being 2-0 up. It would have been a long international break if we'd thrown that away. We've gone toe to toe now, though, with Sheffield United and Leeds. Happy with the overall performance, I guess, but are you frustrated that we don't play like that in some of the other games as well?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think if we had played like that in some of the other games, we wouldn't be talking about relegation or worried about anything. We'd be more than safe by now. We've thrown away silly games like Portsmouth away, we didn't really turn up. Middlesbrough away, we were poor. So it's frustrating to kind of not do it all the time, but they've shown they can do it when they put in these sort of performances. They can match anyone in this division, and we've got to take heart from that in the running. That even though we're not in great form in a minute, we can do it if we put our minds to it.
Yeah, definitely. We battled and scrapped for every single ball against Leeds, and you just didn't see that same commitment, like you say, in the first 80 minutes against Middlesbrough away at Portsmouth. Every 50-50, we were right there, really fighting for the shirt. Jack Colback, much better. He was like a different player from the one just a few days before against Middlesbrough. Michael Frey ran himself into the ground. And don't forget, we've got no Jake Clark-Salter, no Jonathan Varane, no Sam Field, no Ilias Chair, no Sella. Even Alfie Lloyd was missing. Steve Cook went off injured. So it was no mean feat to get something against the league leaders. And let's face it, they didn't even really test Paul Nardi. And the second goal, they got the run of the ball so kind. I mean, Morgan Fox's block, that goes out for a corner 9 times out of 10, but it bounced straight to their player. Paul's Nardi's save could go anywhere, but falls straight for their player again. So we were a bit unlucky. And I've got to be honest as well, a lot of the Leeds fans were very touchy in the comments on our previous show because Brian did not half wind them up saying that they were poor against Millwall. They've obviously then dropped points against us. Do you sense Leeds are having a wobble again?
Yeah, they are a little bit of one, aren't they? That seems to happen this time of the season for them, but they're going to have to be careful because I mean Burnley are showing no signs of dropping away, and Sheffield United as well. So be interesting to see who gets it. You got to think surely Leeds are going to do it this year. But you don't know. They are dropping points at the minute, so you never know how that will finish up.
Yeah, for me, there was something about how Leeds played and the demeanour of a few players made me think it could be Burnley and Sheffield United going up automatically, and certainly going to be an exciting end to the season at both ends of the table. Overall for QPR, important match not to lose, and probably the same applies now to this trip to Stoke. Obviously, it's an away trip. We have to start with a reminder that QPR have lost the last 5 away games in a row. That's the first time that's happened in over 5 years. We head to the Bet365 Stadium hoping to avoid a 6th consecutive away defeat. The home match against Stoke, though, back in November, although we didn't win, do you still feel that was like a huge turning point in the season?
Yeah, that was a massive day for us because let's face it, Cifuentes looked like he was on his way out at that point. And they had a goal disallowed at the end, which was a bit, let's say it was a 50-50 decision. Could have easily gone the other way.
90-10, I think.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Um, but I think the way the crowd reacted that day, we didn't play well on the day, but the crowd were really behind Cifuentes and were singing his name. And then we got a win a few days later. I think that kind of started turning things around for us. We were a lot better after that. And, you know, we're going to need a result of this weekend. Although we've still got a nice gap to the bottom three. You don't want to be losing this game against a team below us and giving them momentum and us dropping down towards them again.
Yeah, I think the key moment of the season, arguably, was that support for Marti that was just universal at home to Stoke because it was a better performance as well, but was not losing that game and showing the faith to Marti. It's ultimately been rewarded overall. Had we lost that game, like you said, I think he would have been sacked. Have to remember as well that day, even though we picked up a point, we were still then 5 points from safety. Now we sit 7 points above the drop zone. I asked Brian and Matt on the last show, and you kind of just alluded to it, but are we in danger?
Well, yeah, we probably are. I mean, it seems ridiculous from where we looked a few weeks ago, but QPR have got a habit of doing this. I was looking at it today. You look back at we've been back in this league for 10 years, and the number of times we've gone from a position of relative safety to collapsing is ridiculous. We've done it twice under Holloway, we've done it under McLaren, under Warburton. We went from fourth in the league to struggling to stay in the top half. We went from top to bottom under Mick Beale. So it happens, and unfortunately, if we lose at the weekend, there's alarm bells that it could happen again because we're not on a great run at the minute. But surely you look at the gap we've got and you think one or two wins will do it. And with the games we've got left, it'd be criminal if they don't stay up this year. That they should be able to do it relatively comfortably.
Yeah, that last sentence does sum it up. It would be criminal. I just don't see how we don't win another game. We're only 5 points away
Mm.
from the 50-point mark, 8 games left. And if we use Derby as one example, they play five of the teams who are below us, so they can't all be getting points.
Yeah.
Stoke themselves follow this matchup. They've got Preston, then other fellow strugglers, Luton and Cardiff. So it's an absolutely crucial fortnight for Stoke. But again, those teams below us, they aren't all going to be getting points. They've all got to take points off each other at some point. And as for Stoke City, they're in deep trouble, definitely. Sitting 20th, 1 point above the bottom three. Mark Robins has not had the impact there that I'm sure he hoped for, that the Stoke fans hoped for. And he's just the latest in a long line of managers who've gone there and struggled. It suggests there's just far deeper issues at Stoke.
Yeah, I don't think it's all on the manager at Stoke. They've had some good managers there that have really struggled, and Robbins did an incredible job at Coventry, and he's always done a good job everywhere he's been, and he's struggling there as well. And they're similar to us that they've been kind of circling the drain for a couple of years, and they've been just about staying out of it, and maybe this is the year that they go. They always seem like a team that could pull a result out. They seem to like get one win a month that kind of keeps them above the line a little bit, and they're going to need to do that in the next few weeks to stay up. I think they'll probably just about stay up, but this is the closest it's been for them for a while.
Yeah, you're right about what you're saying because last season they were kind of in the mix around February and then they got up 3 or 4 wins and they were safe enough. But then you think that just when they're going to turn a corner, I thought they were going to do it this season under the manager they got in from Norwich, and but then they just slipped away again after a few promising results. I mean, you look at the list: Gary Rowett, Alex Neil, Nathan Jones, now Mark Robbins. These are all more than proven managers elsewhere, but
Yeah.
Stoke job just seems to be a poisoned chalice. And for me, when you look at their squad, you always seem to make too many changes, too many signings after signing every summer. We know from QPR, we found it out ourselves. It's not always the answer. Chief issue for Stoke this season is just lack of goals, less than a goal a game. Only Luton have scored fewer than them. They lost Tom Cannon, obviously, who had 10 goals. Nobody else in the squad's got more than 4 league goals. Lewis Baker's got 5, but he's the penalty taker. They're going to remain in the mix unless they can solve that, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. That's the problem for most of the teams down there. They've been the same as us, just don't score enough goals. Losing Tom Cannon was a big blow for him. I think they'd have probably got themselves comfortable if he'd stayed, but obviously he moved on. I mean, yeah, I mean you can't see this one being a goal fest at the weekend, can you? With our attack and theirs the way it is at the minute, but you know, like any team, if they can find goals in the last few games, they'll probably be fine. But all their games seem to be quite close. Even like at the last one against Millwall, they played all right in that one, but then lost it late on. And if you're not scoring one or two goals a game, you're always risking losing.
Yeah, definitely. Their last two matches have both ended 1-0 either way. QPR's last two trips to Stoke have been 1-0 either way. So
Yeah.
it does suggest that's what's going to happen. And as for QPR, we even know ourselves, if you struggle for goals, there's only so far you can go, isn't there? Just means you're not killing teams off. So games always remain in the balance and it becomes easy to let points slip. Should say that they've been decent at home recently. Only one home defeat yet this year. That was against Middlesbrough. Mainly struggled away from home where they've lost the last four. Add to that QPR's recent away woes. Should give Stoke fans listening some hope, unfortunately. I read some fans, Stoke fans, calling it must win, cup final, etc. for them. Sure, some would say it's maybe even the same for QPR, but it's more must win for Stoke than QPR, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more must and lose for us. I think if we got a draw there, it's not a disaster. But yeah, for Stoke, the way they're running out of games, and you've got to target these home games for them to win. And from their point of view, they're surely looking at a QPR side that are not in great form and got quite a few players missing. And if it was the other way around, we'd be looking at this as the game we've got to win. And I'm sure they'd be thinking that. So not going to be an easy one for us. We've got an okay record up at Stoke, but it might not count for anything at the weekend with the players we got missing.
No, they've moved the away fans as well into the corner, trying to get any
Yeah.
advantage they can. But yeah, they're going to be well up for it. Like I say, they're going to be labelling it as a cup final. QPR will need to match that intensity. I agree, though. For QPR, it's just must not lose. Keep the 7 point gap to Stoke. It's another point for us in the right direction. 3 points obviously would be superb, but let's turn our attentions to QPR. And there's been an interview with Marti Cifuentes out, hasn't there, saying how difficult the season's been. He said not just the results in inverted commas, things the fans don't see. Interesting too that he was quoted as saying this season has been far harder than last season. What did you make of those comments?
Yeah. For me, alarm bells that he's not going to be around next year. From what he was saying, I kind of agree. I agree. I think for him, it's probably has been a harder season. They've spent a lot of money this year. Shouldn't forget. They spent. It's been years since they spent a couple of £1 million on players, and we have spent a fair chunk. And he's been left with a really unbalanced squad. He's had a lot of injuries, and you can tell he's frustrated. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but it doesn't look a happy camp. One of the things for me is he just doesn't seem to be allowed to talk to the supporters in interviews, even fans forums. They're doing it pre-recorded with the other coaches and that. So something doesn't quite seem right for me with Cifuentes, but hopefully he can get us over the line and keep us up. And for me, he's doing a really good job, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm hoping some of his quotes are maybe just lost in translation a little bit. I'm hoping he's mainly alluding to maybe the injuries that they've suffered from,
Could
and
be.
that's what maybe what's made it difficult. I'm just, like I say, hopefully not just clutching at straws and he's not unhappy, but I still don't think he got what he wanted last summer. We've spoke about it a few times how he seemed disgruntled, and I agree with what you say. It's kind of going to be interesting to judge his demeanour through this coming summer, see if he is getting what he wants, and it's going to obviously determine the outcome for us long term for QPR, whether he is here or not. Also in the international break, Jimmy Dunn got his first cap coming on as a 74th minute sub for Ireland against Bulgaria. Great for him, but as time ticks on, it's less and less likely he's going to stay next season. No news of a new deal yet, is there?
No, and I saw an interview with him while he was away, and he was talking about weighing up his options in the summer, and that this was a big opportunity for him. And you know, I'll be surprised if he's still here next year. Let's be honest, the club had the chance. They could have got him on a longer deal last summer. He's had such a good season. Will he ever get this chance again where he's going to have probably a decent money and a move to a team? Sheffield United go up, will they come back in for him on a free, or maybe one of the side like a Birmingham or a Wrexham if they come up and would be going for promotion? I don't know. I don't think he'll be around next year, which is a real shame. But he's been an excellent player for us over the years, so I don't really begrudge him if he does get this opportunity.
Yeah, so in some ways, when you look at his age, like you say, his chance to play in the Premier League potentially, you can't blame him. I read Sheffield United still interested and ready to swoop in the summer, which seems his most likely destination. I always thought if he was going to sign a new deal, it would have been straight after the January window closed. So now
Mm.
I'm probably 90% sure he's going to leave, which will be a shame because he's not an easy player or character for the club to replace. Also, a shame for QPR is that both Koki Saito and Ilias Chair were missing against Stoke. Was it a red card for Koki Saito for you? And what would be your plan of action now across the front line with all them missing?
It was a diabolical free kick. I know that from Powell. I don't know why he didn't launch that in the box like all the others had been. But at the time, I thought it was an awful decision, and we were going berserk at it. But when you see the replay, it's a red, isn't it? Let's be honest. He's caught him, and it was high up, and it's a big blow to lose him. Is it 3 games? Is he going to be out for? I
Yeah,
assume
it should
for,
be.
for
Yeah.
the red. With Chair out, it does limit our options, and we're in the middle of the games now. We kind of need to win. You don't want to be going into those last 2 games of the season needing results, Burnley and Sunderland. So, yeah, real disappointment he's going to be missing and be a struggle to replace him, I think.
Do you think he'll move Smith to the left and bring Dembele or Yang on the right? Who do you think he will play on the left if both of them are out?
Yeah,
Because it's literally been one of them two all season.
yeah. Smith to the left makes sense. He played there for Orient. He moved there for a little bit in the last game, so I kind of assume he'll do that, and then maybe Dembele on the right. But I don't think it's a particularly brilliant option. I think that Dembele is better in the middle. and I'm not sure he works when he plays on the right with Jimmy Dunn. I think it kind of leaves us a bit imbalanced. So yeah, yeah, tricky, but again, lack of options for us really, especially with all the injuries. They're just going to have to patch up and get on with it.
Yeah, I think he'll probably have Anderson in the middle, and then I'd put Smith on the
Mm.
left, and then it's either Dembele or Yang on the right. Basically, they can all rotate positions well throughout the game. That could cause Stoke some problems with them moving around. Elsewhere, if I suppose if Jonathan Varane isn't back, surely he's going to stick with Ronnie Edwards in midfield next to Colback. He was good against Leeds, wasn't
Yeah, really impressive. I thought in midfield, and I think that's probably be where we'll see him if Varane is going to be out. I think he can do a decent job for us in there. Then you've got the option that you can drop him back in and play a back five if you need to in the game. So yeah, I'd probably go with that again. You know, Again talking about injuries, Sam Field being out, it's just such a blow for us at this. We've got a decent first 11, but when you start losing these key players, we look quite a weak side.
he? Yeah, it is. It's hard. And Steve Cook as well. He's been struggling. He went off injured
Yeah.
against Leeds, like I said before. He's had 2 weeks now, but if he's injured, or if he's back, I should say, would you be returning into the team, or is it now time to play Morrison regardless?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Morrison back in the side. I think he's been good. I wonder if there was an issue with his injuries. He does, even when he was playing earlier in the season, he was coming off before the end when he. So, maybe there's some sort of issue there. I think if Cook's fit, he'll play. I think Cifuentes will go with experience, especially for this game, and with a few other players missing. But if he's not, then Morrison, I don't think will let us down if he comes in.
No, I think if Steve Cook is fit, I suspect Marti will play him. He's still an excellent defender and he's the captain, obviously.
Mm.
I'd like to see Morris and Edwards paired together at least at some point, though. It'd be interesting just to see how they matched up together. Looking at Cook and Fox at the back here, I think if Edwards and Colback are in midfield, if Iran is back, then Edwards probably drops back into defence and it'll be
Yeah.
Fox who misses out against his former club. Can't really see any other changes. I mean, Ryan Coley was touted as being back for this match at the end of March. We know Michael Frey has struggled away from home. Would you throw Coley back in, or does he need time?
I would have thought he'd need time. I mean, it'd be great if he's on the bench, so you got an option to bring him on. But I would have thought Frey would start. Alfie Lloyd's been missing the last few games, and to be honest, he's been pretty poor when he has featured. So probably go with Frey again. I think it's going to be one of them a game where you're going to have to battle a lot. Frey's quite good at that, so probably start with him in this one.
Yeah, he helps to defend set pieces as well, which we know Stoke
Mm.
used to be synonymous for. So all said and done, feels like a win here if we can get it. Would put 9 points between us and Stoke. We can definitely stop looking over our shoulders, I think, if we can win this one. But can we do it?
Yeah, well, I think with the players missing, I struggle to see how we win the game. I just think it'll be a tight one. I'll go with a draw, maybe like 1-1. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 0-0. But I say it's a game we can't really afford to lose. It'll make the next few very nervy if we do lose this one. So I'll go with a draw.
Yeah, I just think Stoke are so tricky to judge because, like, you think, oh, they've only won one of the last six, so you think they're there for the taking. But at home, they've only lost one of the last six, makes it very hard
Yeah.
to judge. QPR obviously haven't been good away from home, as we've discussed. Both low-scoring teams. I just personally can't see past a 1-0 defeat in this game. It just seems almost inevitable, and that is certainly what I'll be predicting in our prediction league. Let us know your predictions in the comments. And will QPR be making it 6 away defeats in a row for the first time in over a decade? If that does happen, big couple of matches ahead because we've got a week off now, but then it's Cardiff and Oxford back to back next week. Hopefully, we are just looking upwards toward mid-table and not over our shoulders by the time we record next week's show. Until then, thank you for watching and come on, you R's.